Ben Champeau, KFI, AM 640. So if you live in Orange County, you probably hate the TCA, which is the Transportation Corridor Agencies. They own all those irritating toll roads.
Yeah, they oversee the toll roads network that runs from South Orange County to Yorba Linda and the Riverside Freeway.
And they spend millions of dollars, this agency, on consultants to try to convince you that a toll road ought to be extended. And it's a lot of money. Stephen Swartz is with us, the mayor of San Clemente. Now, this just to clarify here, this agency, it's a public agency?
It's a public agency.
But how's it accountable to the public?
It's made up of city council members and Orange County supervisors and such, right? The board?
Yeah, and I actually sat on the board for 1 year and left in disgust. But the board doesn't see anything. It's all done. It's all done by management, and they've got these special committees that are made by a few key people of electeds, and then the staff and the management.
And the money
they're
is
making all the decisions.
The money for these consultants, it's coming out of tolls, right?
Well, yeah. Here, how you like this statistic? You know, they were in debt, $2.6 billion. Like what, 20 years ago, when they were supposed to, start paying down the debt and with the tolls. The debt's now up to $6.4 billion.
What was the debt used for?
Consultants, promotions.
Not to pave new roads?
No.
Not to maintain the old roads?
They have gone from $2.5 billion to $6.5 billion without building an inch of road.
Oh my God! That's
regular annual expenses then for running the operation, is what you're saying.
Correct.
So they're paying all their buddies who are acting as consultants. The story here in the Times is that one consulting company got $230,000, and the consultants spent 1,300 hours reading emails of transportation news stories, and they were evaluating reporter perspectives. They were charging $185 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And that comes out of the toll money. And that's not being used to create a road.
Why isn't anybody besides you, Stephen, raising hell about this?
Well, a lot of us didn't know. I mean, we got frustrated because first of all, we don't need the road. I mean, there isn't, nothing tells us, and we went out and spent money ourselves to verify with consultants that we don't need the road. It can be handled through arterials. We now have a road that goes through called La Plata that took away a lot of the traffic that was, on the freeway is now going to the back of us.
Here's another one. $380,000 for some company to produce content for two small websites and social media accounts for the tollway. Why does a road need a social media account?
Because they keep having to sell it as the fact that it's needed.
Well, nobody follows the Twitter account of a road.
Who's reading this stuff?
Nobody reads that.
Nobody normal. It's just other people in the business, probably.
They just keep putting content out there that just shows that they're here to save us. They're here to be for us. In the meantime, they promised the last promise was originally 2037 that all toll roads would be converted over to free roads and that it would be all done. They now extended that to 2057.
Yeah, wait a second.
What's going to happen?
All right, here's the racket, though. It has to be stopped, and I don't know how to stop this. But the toll road is supposed to be paid for at a certain point, like you just said.
Right.
But they keep taking out debt. That adds another 20 years before the road's paid for. The debt is going for all these idiotic consultants. None of the money's going for a new roadway. None of it's going to maintain the old roadway. They're just borrowing money to enrich themselves and to corrupt buddies. And the public's going to be paying tolls for 20 years after the tolls should have ended.
Right. I mean, we're talking, $4 billion, $5 billion has been spent without a stick being put in the ground.
And the toll payers, the public, they have no way to vote these guys off the board.
I mean, listen to this part of the El Segundo Times story. In 2015, the tollway agency approved a nearly $500,000 8-month contract with something called Corliss Firm for public relations. Well, guess what? Corliss was a political consultant to the successful 2014 election campaign of County Supervisor Lisa Bartlett, who sits on the authority's board of directors. So what do you think that is?
Well, there's also we have the billing from Katie Pringle. She was billing 28 hours a day in one day.
Oh, yeah, here it is, right. It was a Katie Pringle who was listed on the 2016 invoice from something called Venture Strategic, charging for 28 hours she supposedly worked in a single day. Well, how do you do that?
Yeah, her dad, Kurt Pringle. Remember him?
Yeah, he was like, I mean, the mayor of Anaheim or a councilman.
Yeah. Wasn't there something funky about him years ago?
Yeah, he was Anaheim's mayor and he was assembly speaker.
Yeah, but there was something about him. I forget what. Anyway, his daughter's working 28 hours a day. Well, this is just crooked stuff here.
Yeah, and the bottom line basically comes back to the road isn't needed. You know, it doesn't need to come down through there. There's billions of dollars that have been spent to try to put something that isn't needed. And what we discovered when we went in for our PRA to see what is going on, we just couldn't understand what was going on. We discovered stuff which you've seen in the article.
Well, what do you do? What do you do when the whole system's corrupt? If board members are arranging for their friends and relatives to be hired, and then they funnel contracts that pay hundreds of thousands of dollars, and these people are charging hundreds of dollars for reading the news, what does it tell you? Everybody is just sticking their face in the trough and fattening themselves up. It's a complete screwing of the public, just like high-speed rail.
Exactly. Yeah,
how does the public get people in the car now screaming and pounding the dashboard? How can they stop this?
Well, Mike Levin, he covers our area as far as up in Sacramento, and he's written a letter to our new governor.
You need more than a letter. Gavin Newsom can't even read.
We need the TCA is a rogue agency. It's out of control, completely out of control. It needs to be an independent, completely independent. Probably, I would prefer to be the Attorney General. Needs to come in there and basically
the Attorney General's corrupt too.
Yeah.
$4 billion they borrowed for nothing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be another 20 years worth of tolls.
Yes.
And there's no way to vote these guys off the board.
No,
this is corrupt.
So, they're all, and again, it's not the whole board that's doing it. It's just a handful that are controlling it.
Well, the good guys got to stand up and make a big stink, and we're not. This is the first we heard about it. First we heard about it was this story in the Times, and now hearing it from you. And it's billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. $4 billion is huge.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, Mayor Swartz.
Okay, well, I appreciate you guys bringing our road to nowhere to the attention of the public.
There's a lot of that going on. Thank you very much for coming on.
One of these big consulting companies is called Venture Strategic. The most popular tollway social media account run by Venture Strategic has fewer than 7,800 followers.
Well, who was waiting for news from a road?
And you know who shows up in this story? As they were asked about what these people do for this money, like they read the news. Nico Melendez, remember that name? Wasn't he like the TSA at the airport or something? I know that.
Yes.
He said he's a venture strategic consultant. He says he needed to read to keep abreast of transportation news from around the country.
These jackasses bounce from public job to public job, sucking off tax money or toll money.
On a single day in 2017, he worked 7 hours reading news at $175 an hour, according to one invoice. $175 an hour to read the news.
Because, who knows?
Deborah Mark, you make that?
No.
And you know what? He didn't really read the news.
I need to reevaluate
He was,
there.
he probably was napping and going to lunch. Nobody reads the news for 7 hours.
All right, we got more coming up, including this.
Everything's a scam.
Speaking of scams, yes, we're going to